The term processed and ultra-processed have become so loaded. For many people, any level of processing automatically means bad. But processing describes how a food is made, not whether it's healthy. In fact, all foods are processed in some way, shape or form. Wholemeal bread, canned fruit and vegetables, even baby formula. So today I'm going to break down what processing actually means, why some added ingredients exist, and what really matters when you're shopping. In the UK, food processing plays a major role in meeting strict safety standards. If you're not in the UK, it might be a little bit different. A lot of concern centres around additives like preservatives, emulsifiers, sweeteners, artificial colours, antioxidants and flavourings. When you hear these thrown around, it's pretty normal to be worried based on the headlines you might have seen. But they're regularly safety tested and continually reassessed as new evidence emerges. Now, that doesn't automatically mean every product is high quality, but it does mean the presence of an additive doesn't equal danger. And sometimes processing is just a bit more practical. If you're like me, you've opened the fridge to find mouldy raspberries 2 days later after buying them, you'll understand why shelf life does matter. I've got a bit of a love-hate relationship with raspberries. I mean, £3 a pack, they last about 48 hours. That's disgusting behaviour, if you ask me. And that situation is exactly why some additives exist in the first place, with many additives serving a purpose, such as preservatives slowing the growth of bacteria, emulsifiers helping ingredients mix properly, sweeteners replacing sugar in low-calorie products, colourings restoring appearance lost during processing, antioxidants preventing fats from spoiling, flavourings restoring the taste. Hearing this may make you uneasy because they've been heavily demonised for so long. And I'm not saying eat ultra-processed foods all day, but common sense tells us that the issue isn't with the word emulsifier. It's the overall nutritional profile of the food which you should be focusing on, and that is the main issue. Yes, a higher consumption of ultra-processed foods is associated with poorer health outcomes, but here's the nuance. It's not clear whether harm comes from the processing itself or because these foods are typically high in calories, sugar, salt, saturated fat, and low in fibre and micronutrients. And the evidence linking excess fat, sugar, and salt to disease, that's actually very strong. So again, it's the context that does matter. And the same also applies to your own diet. When trying to lose weight, it's easy to fall into this idea of perfectionism. I know I've definitely done it. At one point, I avoided certain foods entirely because they were bad. I was compliant, but I was also miserable. Eventually, I did realise something. I could include these foods in smaller amounts, track them properly, and then move on with the rest of my day and my life. This mindset shift definitely helped remove stress around birthdays, holidays, weddings, because 1 week doesn't undo a year of consistent habits, and that is the bigger picture. But let's make it a little bit more practical. When you're shopping, instead of asking, is this processed? I want you to try and remember to ask yourself these 3 things instead. Does this help me hit my protein, fibre or calorie target? Is this occasional or daily? Does this support my goals? Because 1 can of Diet Coke 2 or 3 times a week isn't going to harm your health. If it replaces a regular can of Coke, you're saving roughly 430 calories and around 100 grams of sugar. That's the equivalent of an evening meal. For example, 150 grams of chicken, 50 grams of pasta, and a tomato-based sauce. I know that because that is a meal I've had, and it was 405 calories to be precise. It's the quality and frequency that matter more than labels. I'll have chocolate digestives once or twice per week, which are the best biscuits in the world, but it's going to be in a controlled amount, because when I used to restrict them completely, I'd eventually just devour the whole packet. But I'm not that guy anymore. I remember consistency beats perfection, and that consistency, it lies within the basics. Lean protein, fruits, vegetables, healthy fats. This is the building blocks. This is the foundation. This is what should make up 80 to 90% of our intake. And then the remaining 10 to 20%, that's where you've got that flexibility. Fit in some of the bad foods, which, as we've seen, they're not even bad. And that flexibility is what is going to make the consistency that you're craving sustainable. And once that structure's in place, single foods are not going to have so much power over you. But we are online, and in diet culture, we either exaggerate how powerful a single food is or how harmful it is. Both distract from what actually matters, your overall habits. If you want to understand the marketing behind superfoods, then watch this video on screen next.